This is Chloe and Dean's wedding, and what I did is you can get a little matchbox size album, the complete version of the original size. So I actually gifted these to them as a little surprise. I didn't know that they were actually getting them. I got 30 of them. They're pretty sweet, like you can see.
Oh my God!
Oh, and they're awesome quality too for a tiny little book. You can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome, and it fits in your purse. But also too, I do personalised thank you cards. So what I was telling to the bride and grooms is what you do, guys, is I can on-sell this as a product.
Yeah.
Or I've been gifting them. They say, hey guys, and just a nice little surprise. Oh wow, we've got these. So personalised thank you cards, and this goes in the thank you card as a gift for their wedding. Boom!
Oh, look at that! That's amazing. How cool is that?
This is the one that was crowdfunded. So I added these 2 extra pages in the back. So a beautiful shot of them at backlit night time, and then there's the list of all the people that contributed to the wedding album. So a little mini version. So they do that size, then they do the next one up, that one. So it's a little bit bigger. So
hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Yarna, where we spin some yarns and we spread the yarns around the world. If you're not sure what a yarn is in Australia, it's where we tell a story, which is basically what my name is. I'm a bit of a yarn spinner. So welcome to the first episode. We've got Kurt Stockham from Tella Photography today from Townsville, and he's going to be spinning some yarns with Yarna. Welcome to the first episode of Yarna.
Yarna.
How long have you been a photographer for?
Geez, I started the business back in 2009. So I started part-time, and then this year will mark 7 years full-time professional.
Wow, nice.
So
yeah.
Sorry?
What did you do prior to doing photography?
I was in civil construction. So I was driving cranes and I was driving trucks for a living. So a bit different to what I'm doing now.
Oh, wow.
So I was doing construction for about 7.5 years in total, roughly since I left high school. So I went overseas for a couple of years, come back, did more construction, and thought this is not my passion, and I started photography, and it got that busy that I had to leave my construction job.
Wow.
So, that was only 7 years ago now.
So were you shooting photography on the side as well as doing your civil construction at that time? So on the weekend?
So I did pretty much an actual 2 years sort of transition. So I started in 2009 part-time.
Yep.
So I registered the business name, and then working construction 6 days a week, 10-hour days most days, and then when I'd book a wedding, wouldn't work to Saturday, shoot a wedding, go back to construction. And during my smoko and lunch, I'd just be reading textbooks, front to back, Lightroom, Photoshop. And then nighttime, edit the photos, which wouldn't last as long because I'd be that dirt tired that I'd probably fall asleep with the computer.
Yeah.
And then it just got that busy that I was getting enough bookings that I was, right, I'm going to make the leap. So I told my boss, hey, I'm leaving. He didn't want me to go, but my passion wasn't there. The whole time I was at work doing the driving cranes and whatnot, I was like, I just want to get home and finish these photos. So I thought, right. So I took the leap.
Did you have young kids at the time?
Yes. So what helped with that transition is my wife's a primary school teacher.
Yeah.
So with the construction game, it is like 6 days a week, most sort of jobs, but it can be quite good money. So when my wife had our first daughter, which is Tella, and our second daughter, Ella, that's where we get Tella Photography from. We joined the girls' names together.
Oh, I see that now.
Yeah. I didn't want Kurt Stockham Photography. I wanted something different. So wife and I chose both our daughters' names and joined it together.
Yep.
So when we had our first daughter, Tella, my wife obviously stopped teaching, and I was still doing driving cranes and driving trucks for a living, which is good money. So it's enough money for my wife to stay at home for 4 years, because we didn't want to put our kids in daycare and have someone else bring their kids up. That was just our personal choice, and I was making enough money that we could actually financially do that.
Yeah.
We didn't do much. Made ends meet and went out for dinner once every 6 months. And then it got to the point where my wife was ready to transition back into work, and that's when I said, right. So I needed my wife's security of her full-time job to help me transition into me taking on the prospect of a full-time career as a photographer.
Oh, cool. So so it would have been nice to have that buffer to make you feel like you could take that jump. When you did it, did you need that buffer, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much without my wife's job, I would have gone bankrupt. I would have been living down in the park.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. How long did it take?
What was that? Sorry, how long did it take for?
How long did it take before you started making a decent enough coin to be able to support your side of the?
Yeah, to be honest, it took quite a few years, to be honest. It took about at least 3 or 4 to start making any decent money, but I was doing it all by myself until I found AIPP. So that's when I come across all the different workshops and all the different local people shooting also. So we met up, and then I was seeing what people were earning, and I'm like, oh my God, I can actually earn this much money. So put it this way, what I've learned in the last 2 years by attending business workshops, I wish I knew back then, because I'd be killing it from the get-go.
I was going to ask you what if you could look back and do things differently. What else would have you changed? Obviously AIPP and doing those business workshops. Anything else?
I would have attended a business workshop straight up.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of the problem that people come across these days when they're starting to do their own business to do AIM photography, is what people get caught up as they love photography. I can make some money doing this, and I myself, I actually started off with this. The passion for it doesn't sort of relate into the business mind. You need to know how to run a business, because it is a business.
Yeah.
So I wish I had that business sense when I first started, knowing what to charge, charging what you're worth, and also knowing what I've learned in the last couple of years in regards to the wedding albums, like adding that into your packages, and the money that can be made additional to offering products instead of the old, well, not old school, still having there, like the actual shoot and burn mentality. Yeah. Whereas you shoot and burn, thank you, see you later. And it's a bit of an injustice to your clients as well, because they've got nothing to take home but a little USB stick. Just put in the frame, hanging up on the wall, won't they, Jana?
We've all seen those ones. I'm blown away about how many people actually. So I am a recovered shoot and burn photographer.
Yep.
Are you a recovering shoot and burn photographer, or have you always offered prints? Or how many? Well, I guess my question is, how many phone calls do you get of people saying that they've lost their USBs or DVDs and
they've lost them? Actually, I probably had 1 or 2 brides, and what happened there was, before I used to offer online galleries for my clients for the actual wedding guests to view the photos, what the bride would do is hand the USB to their mum, or actually to their guests, so they could have a look at the photos and print some off. Then they would lose the USB. So then the bride would contact me, hey Kurt, I've borrowed it out and I've lost it. So I'd actually redo the USB. So I now have an online gallery, which I used to be Photo Merchant.
Yeah.
It totally cuts that away. People can email the link and password to all their friends locally, overseas, and they never have to give the USB away. And also I've got a little info card when they pick their photos up. I'm telling them back to USB up. Don't actually rely on the USB, back it up hard drive. And I've got it on-site, off-site, up in the cloud. So try to avoid that happening, because as you know, you can't reshoot a wedding. So,
yeah. And I guess that's the good point of having a photographer as well, as at least you know that it's going to be backed up correctly. How long do you hold on to the files for your clients?
Well, we have rules and regulations, being a member of the AIPP, and it's minimum 8 years on file.
Yeah, nice.
Last I read. So I keep them. I actually never get rid of them. I've had some brides said to me, says, "Oh, do you actually delete these after a couple of years?" And no. I said, "There's no need for me to delete them." So I keep them on site, off site, on hard drives, and up in the cloud. So yeah, if anyone wants a photo, I've actually still got them. Like if they've lost their USB, or they actually want a actual bigger print, or want to get a canvas, or I actually do want to get a wedding album, I've still got the files to backtrack. I did a wedding 3 years ago. The bride contacted me recently, and she chose a custom package back then that didn't have the actual digital files. So she said, I actually want to buy the files now, Kurt. I said, sure. And I offered her an album and stuff like that. And I went back and archived and brought them back out, and I still have them. So being a digital era, it's not a case of if my hard drive will fail, it's when it is going to happen. So you've got to have backups. So I'm pretty diligent on that, because like I said, you can't reshoot a wedding. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't recreate that passion and that feeling.
Yeah. And so what are you mainly photographing these days? Is it mainly your weddings, or are you doing a mixture of, what's your specialty?
Weddings.
Weddings, yeah.
Weddings. So mainly weddings, doing about 20 plus weddings a year.
Yeah.
Do portraits and graduations and debutantes. I've also done a fair bit of commercial work like this. So I've done some work for a local gold mine lately, just an hour and a half south of me. So more sort of, they did some team building events, and I've done some on-site family day shots and shots of the process of the actual site and stuff like that. Commercial headshots. I haven't done much real estate. Doesn't really interest me, real estate, and yeah, I don't want to spread myself too thin.
Yeah.
But no, I love weddings, and that's what I mainly specialise in, weddings in our families. So, but plus I teach as well, so I teach workshops as well. So keeps me busy throughout the year.
That's it. Very busy, I'm sure. Lovely. And how long did it take you like to perfect your look for your wedding photos? Like I know for me personally, I'll go and look at. So I've been in business almost 10 years now, and I'll go back and I'll look at some photos I took in the very beginning of that stage, and I kind of look at them and I'm like, oh my God. Do you ever do that? Like how long did it take you before you started hitting that point where you're like, I'm really confident with my look and I know that I can be consistent with that?
Yeah, and your final edited image which you give your clients is makes a big statement, and also not only that is when I look online now, I can see photos without seeing who's actually shot it, and from their style know who the actual photographer is. So getting to that point where I was confident in my work and I love the final edit, which I do, it took quite a few years of testing, trialing, but I didn't jump too far in. Like when I was initially starting, I didn't go, lots of black and white with chocolate, tint and all sort of stuff, and then full blown colour and colour popping. Don't do colour popping, people.
double colour. Black and white, just with the flowers and colour.
Yeah. Okay. So it took me quite a while, and with Lightroom, I would tweak the different presets until I finally found a preset which I'm happy with and I love it, and that's my final edit, and people can see my work now and know that I've taken it just from my edit style.
Yeah.
So it took me a couple of years, and that's something I think we just have to work our way through and like trial and error, because and not only that is looking at other people's work, to get inspired and go, oh, I actually love that look. Oh my God, I don't like that look. So it just takes years of sort of weeding your way through your different techniques, and then finding something you love, and then and like I said, to have that your final edit style, which is prominent in your actual portfolio, people then can recognise you from your work, from the finished product. And that's why when I teach workshops, I tell people never give away an actual raw file because of that reason, because someone can re-edit your photos, look horrible, your name's on it. So don't do that, people.
Don't do that. So another question. How do you determine if you would like to work with a couple? Do you just take anyone that kind of comes in, or do you have a guideline like for you to work with people?
Yeah, well, my process before the last year or so was someone would contact me, hey, Kurt, I'm checking for this date, show me your prices. For this date, show me your prices. So I send my pricing PDF out, and I'm priced sort of the mid-range to high around this area. Yeah. So a lot of people will say, Kurt, you're out of my budget, sorry. And then they wouldn't even take the time to meet you and actually see my work. And I think that's very important, because we aren't just a generic product. We're not a Samsung 123 TV, which is the same TV you'll find in every different white goods store around town. We have our own style, we have our own personalities, and I think it's important that everyone meets their photographer, because we're with you the whole day, and you need to you need to actually connect with your actual client, and also me, because I'm in your face popping lens all day, and if you can't get along with me, you're not going to enjoy your day. It's going to show on the photos, and so forth and so forth. So now my process is, people ask me, is this date available, Kurt? What's your pricing? And I say my prices start at. And then so I'd love to meet you in person and show you more of my work, and actually chat about your day. That way we're having that connection. They're coming in to meet me. And 99% of the time, people book me once they actually meet me, they see my work, they see my albums. So people that sort of don't want to meet me are the people that are pretty much not my clients. So they're not willing to invest in my work and invest in an album and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, a lot of my work comes from like friends I've shot weddings for. They've been the bridesmaids, or they've actually seen a friend's wedding. Oh, Kurt, can you do my wedding? So word of mouth has worked great for me. So
yeah,
I don't do too many wedding expos now because of that, because word of mouth's working great.
It's nice to have a nice reputation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's good.
Yeah.
So But they always tell people, like, you may shoot 50 amazing weddings, you shoot that one bad wedding. That's all they're going to remember you by. So I take my job very importantly, very seriously.
Lovely. All right. So you've been with Album Registry since the very beginning. We met at the AIPP event, didn't we?
Yes.
Or did we meet? No, we met over the telephone, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, because I met some cancer photographers within the AIPPs, the wedding workshops.
Yeah.
And then, we met. I actually seen Album Registry pop up because Matthew was using it.
That's right.
Matt, what's this going on? So I rang Matt and he goes, yeah, bring up Yana and have a yarn. So that's how we met. And then we met in person, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting as well. So you've been with us from the beginning. Last year you had some great success with it with was Chloe and Dean. So tell me, when you met with Chloe and Dean, how did the conversation go?
So Chloe and Dean, how I met them was I've done a family shoot for them previously, which was Dean's family, and we had all the brothers and sisters and their actual partners as well. And plus also, I'm from Ayr, which is the Burdekin, and they're from Ayr as well, so they've known me because I always go back shoot Burdekin weddings, so I'm known quite well in that area that I'm an actual wedding photographer, so they've seen my other work and whatnot, so they wanted to contact me and meet me. And then when I come across the Album Registry, before I did Album Registry, I never used to sell albums, to be honest. And the reason being is I was that busy and my editing workflow wasn't that amazing. And I would probably take too long to edit photos and, procrastinate and stuff like that on the actual finished job. I'm a bit of a fusspot, so it take me a while. So I never used to worry about designing a wedding album because I thought, I haven't got time, I'm not really good at design, and no one wants an album, and how wrong was I?
You made that decision for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So a lot of people that complain, people don't want albums. I said, well, you offer them an option to have an album. Well, no. I said, well, you're not giving your client the option to purchase a beautiful wedding album, which was, when I got married, you had an album that came with the package. And we actually love our album. Bring it every year, show the kids, show how chubby daddy looked when he got married. And so back to when I met them, I actually had a sample album done up to show the bride and groom, and they loved the album. And then I explained how much the album was and the extra pages and stuff like that. And now they chose wedding packages, which was about a year and a bit ago when they booked me. I didn't include a wedding album in my package, so it was a separate purchase. So and I find it's harder to, like, if people haven't got it included in their package, most people say, I actually don't want one.
Yeah.
So when you include it and you show them what it is, everyone wants one.
Yeah.
And so I showed them the album, and then I told them that, this is based on the sample, this would be this much. And I think it seemed a bit out of their budget to purchase the album by themselves. Then I said, hey, you heard of the Album Registry? And that's when I whipped out your little card, Yana, and I showed them that and absolutely loved the idea. So we set that up for them. So we used an image from the family shoot that I did with Dean's family, and Chloe was, they were partners back then, a couple of years ago. Pardon me. So we used that as a sample image on the Album Registry site. And then what they did, I think they'd already sent their wedding invitations out. So we went via social media to post a link on their personal pages saying, hey guys, we've booked Kurt for our wedding. We'd love to get a beautiful wedding album to showcase our day. Here's a link to help you purchase pages or wedding album as your gift to us. And it went great going. So I think they asked around about they wanted a 60-page wedding album. And pretty much nearly 3/4 of that was purchased by the wedding guest.
Yeah.
I think out of 60, I think 46 pages was purchased by the wedding guest.
Lovely.
And I love the system too, whereas as a page is purchased, not only do I get notified, the bride and groom get notified too that, hey, someone's bought a page there, wedding album. Yeah. So they can see their album growing live, which is pretty cool.
Excellent. So and what did they get in the end? How many pages? Did they purchase any extra pages? Do they get a 46-pager, or do they get some more on top of that as well?
No. So what I did is I designed the album based on how I could tell their story without cramming too many photos in it and, putting 50 photos on one page. So I spaced it out nice, and it came to about, I think it ended up being like a 64-page album.
Yep.
So what I did is I said, hey guys, so many pages have been purchased by your wedding guests. I have designed a 60-page album. We can colour back to design to fit your 46, but I'll be missing shots. I'll be taking out shots to make that happen. So the choice is yours. So what would you like to do? And they said, no, we love the design. Don't want to change a thing. We're going to purchase the extra pages.
Yeah.
And then they did. So, yeah.
Lovely. And did you incorporate the names of everyone who contributed to the album? How did you incorporate that in the design, or what did you do?
Yes. So what I do is every time I use Album Registry now is I've got quite a couple of people, bride and grooms this year who are going to be using it. And so what I tell them is that once I've designed your wedding album, I will add additional 2 pages in the back of your album free of charge. And then I'll list every single person that has actually purchased a page to your wedding album. And they love that idea to know that, hey, mum and dad, Uncle Bill have bought pages to your wedding album. So it's a nice little keepsake at the back of the album too. So I don't charge them, I put them in myself. So.
Oh, lovely. That's cool to know. Yeah. I love to hear all these ideas, and then, I can pass on that information to others.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Everyone loves the idea of that, having that crowdfunding. And like you told me, it doesn't really stop at the album. Like I've got a beautiful montage framed canvas of a wedding that's montaged in 42 photos, and I think it's a 40 by 40 inch framed.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you can have that as well. We can just add that on, add additional pages on, and that can be crowdfunded for you also.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just stop at the album, which is great. And when you tell the bride and groom, you can be crowdfunded by your wedding guests, they're like, yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the list of people that contributed here. So usually they bought not just one, but usually 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Or 2 or 3 gifts at a time rather than just that base 65. Do you know if a lot of them were out-of-towners, or whether they were actually people going to the wedding, or whether they were guests that couldn't make it, or colleagues?
I'm pretty sure the majority of the people that purchased albums were actual guests.
Right, okay, yeah.
Because some of the people I actually know, being family, I've seen their name pop up. I said, oh, yeah, that's their auntie, their uncle. So then that's a close friend. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, pretty much most of them were actual wedding guests.
Yeah, lovely.
But that's why it's good to, if you can get the album registry card to your client to put in the wedding invitation, it gives the guests that option to purchase the pages even prior to the day and even after the day. And then, because they'd already sent the invitations out, we just use the social media, and it actually worked great, So.
Lovely. And so, last question. As well. So what does album registry mean for your business looking forward? So you said you've got a fair few other couples that have booked in to do it this year.
Yeah.
Do you see it part of your workflow now? Do you have it part of your workflow? Is it part of your initial conversation and your initial meeting?
Yes, it's definitely part of my consult now. So once we have the viewing, I bring them in, we have a chat, they have a look around, see my work hanging up on the walls. We just have a chat about the day, how he proposed, how long it took him, stuff like that. And then I show them a slideshow of my work from a 4-day wedding, start to finish.
Yeah.
I've got a big screen that pops down behind me. It's a 100-inch screen. I put a slideshow on and show them a 4-day wedding. So I show them how I captured the full day from groom getting ready to bride, ceremony speeches, nighttime photos, trunk dancing photos, stuff like that. So I show them a full day. And then from that, we go into my my package pricing. So I show them exactly what each package includes. And on my coffee table when they come to me is one of my wedding albums and some of my other products which I offer, like personalised thank you cards and stuff like that. And I've got the album registry card sitting on the side there. And so when I explain that 2 of my packages have a wedding album which is part of the package inclusion, parting for a certain amount of pages which is included, and then you can crowdfund the rest of the pages via the album registry, which is a free service I offer to my clients, to make the album as big as they wish, or just to get a nice full album. Because the album I show them is an 80-page album.
Yeah.
So in 80 pages, I've tried with weddings, 4-day weddings, try and colour back a bit more, and it just doesn't fit. It looks too busy.
Yeah.
So I think 80 pages is a nice size to showcase a couple's beautiful day and beautiful album too. So and we'll still show album registry. When I tell people the price, and they're like, oh yeah, okay. And then I say, well, this can be crowdfunded by your wedding guests. And they're like, oh, that's an awesome idea. Who thought of this? I said, well,
genius, some genius.
She's amazeballs.
So tell me, you did mention that you never used to do weddings because it was like, oh, I don't have time to design. So
yeah.
Do you have any do you have any what software do you use to save you time on weddings album design?
So I got introduced to smart albums.
Oh yeah, nice.
And yeah, I started using that. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And like, I suck at design. I seriously do. Someone wants to montage, so I'm like, oh, okay. Swapping photos, and oh my god. Yeah, so smart albums, like I can design an album within an hour, 2 hours, which is great. And so many different layouts, you swap and change photos. So that has been a game changer for me. So my previous weddings that have been booked on my old package price that didn't have a wedding album, I still design a wedding album for all my clients now.
Yeah.
And then whether they purchase or not, I say, well, hey guys, because you can't sell something people can't see.
Correct.
So obviously, I've got the wedding album to show them. This is the albums I can offer you, and this is a quick design I've done for you guys. And then I tell them, you're quite welcome to make any changes to the album design as you wish, guys. So you have final say before it goes to print. The album is fully customizable from the font to the color, the ribbon, the whole show. So it's a pretty sort of final product, which is pretty spectacular. So and they love it. And 9 times out of 10, I've had a couple say, "Oh, we don't want an album," and that's fine. It's just this day and age. I think the value of photography and a printed product is not as valued as it was years ago. Especially when I got married, you actually got a wedding album.
Yeah.
And I think it's becomes more prominent as people nowadays. I think the print is coming back. The print's coming back for sure. And that's how I run my business now. Is I actually get professional prints. My products get prints. I don't push the old shoot and burn style anymore because, like I said, it's not a good business model for one. And it's not a complete service for your client either. Because I've had so many people. I shot a wedding 5 years ago before I did albums, and I seen her about a year ago. And she said, "Oh, Kurt, hey, how's things?" I said, "Hey, I've lost my USB. I haven't printed off one photo, and pretty slack, hey." And I'm like, "Well, what did you want the files for, Milan?" And so so that got me thinking. And then I was got to meet some amazing photographers amongst the AIPP that have been around, the industry leaders and albums, I started off in digital. I never used to print myself, and never seen an album in person. So it's pretty hard to sell if you don't have knowledge of yourself, what you can give your clients.
Yeah. And
I think us photographers, when we start out, are probably part to blame that people always want the files. They don't want an album because that's how we start out. You know, I'm going to give you all the files for $1,500 and it's going to take a whole week of my life.
So why do we want them? It's like we ask ourselves that question. It's like, well, why do I want them? Like, it makes you feel like you have some sort of control, but it's like, well,
exactly.
You can't actually do anything with them and put them on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah.
Why do we want them? Yeah.
But I think it comes on to us as running our business that we've educated clients that they need the files.
Yeah.
What they do with them, a lot of the time they'll just put them on Facebook, which is great. And a lot of time I've actually asked some clients, I said, "Now, do you want the high-res files that you can print and do your own canvas?" "Oh, no, we want to come to you and get canvases."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, so you just want low-res files to put on Facebook?" "Oh, yeah. So, and like people will advertise their business, say, "I'll do your wedding, I'll do your family shoot. You get so many files." So we've sort of educated the actual public and our clients that everyone needs files.
Yeah.
That they know what to do with them most of the time, and not many of them print as well. They'll go to a cheap 45-cent lab and it doesn't do your prints any justice.
No, it doesn't. So, final question. So, who do you use as your album manufacturer?
I use Graphy Studios.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just went over and visited Graphy.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I was in Italy.
Did you go to the castle?
No, I didn't get to the castle. I'm hoping that I get an invite to the castle though at some stage. So hopefully someone.
So you went to the production warehaveuse?
Yeah, I went to the production warehouse.
How was that?
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Cool. Did you see the new Young book? Have you seen the new Young book with the LCD display?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, amazing. I saw how they actually make the buttons there.
Yeah.
For the screen, and I was looking at these 3D printers. Blew my mind. And
they've got a new album out. It's called the Raw album.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a textured paper with torn edges. It's got a bound leather front cover. It's really it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It's got some really amazing products which you can offer to your clients. So I come across them. I think it was at not the Hair of the Dog. the AIPP event 2 years ago down in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd come across them before through, I think Yervont uses them, Rocco uses them, so I come across, always follow their work and seeing their albums, oh wow, where's this guy getting his album from? So, and then like, I got some samples sent me, like, oh yeah, I love this, so yeah.
Yeah.
So now.
Excellent. And what's your turnaround like coming from Italy?
Yeah, they usually say 3 to 4 weeks.
Yep.
And I haven't had it any longer than about 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's quite good. And I just notify my bride and groom that when it goes to print, there is a rough turnaround time of 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes it comes back in 2 weeks. All depends on their workload as well. And my bride and grooms are happy with that.
Yeah.
As long as you educate your client, you know, hey guys, this could take 3 to 4 weeks. Because if you go, oh yeah, I should have by next week, guys, it doesn't turn up. Well, you said a week. I said, oh. So it's important that you
let people know.
Yeah, let people know what's happening.
Yeah. All right. Before I let you go, what's your plans for the year? Any goals, audacious goals? Any aspirations? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm sitting already at about 20 weddings already for the year,
yep.
Which is pretty much what I shot last year. I did 21 last year. So I want to get a couple more because I have a wife and 2 lovely daughters that I'd like to spend time with. Yep. So a couple more weddings, teach a few more workshops.
Yep.
I'm off to the landscape event, which is in the Gold Coast, which is coming up shortly. I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
Just booked a wedding in Fiji, so this is my first international wedding.
Woo!
So yeah, so a local couple are heading to Fiji and asked me to come. I'm like, yeah, I'm there.
Yes.
So the wife's coming over, so my wife and I are spending 5 nights there. We're shooting a full-day wedding there, which is going to be amazing.
Yep.
And then off to a family trip to Adelaide and Melbourne at the end of the year. And so yeah, I just want to, in regards to my business-wise, I just want to, I've got a new website coming out.
Oh, lovely.
New logo, new business cards. So I want to get that sorted in the next couple of weeks because it's been on the back burner for a while.
Yeah.
So don't go to my website. It's an old one now. Old photos. Just wait for the new one, okay? Coming soon.
Coming soon. Yeah, that's it. Excellent. And so, so you're doing your workshops in your local area, is that correct, or are you travelling around doing those?
I did one in Cairns. I did one in Cairns not last Christmas, the Christmas before.
Yeah.
So I did a small fundamentals of a photography workshop that I teaching the basics of camera lens and stuff like that. I've been to Charles Towers a couple of times. Yeah, mainly the Burdekin, like down to air. I travel sometimes. Mainly towns or workshops that I do. Fly.
Welcome to Australia.
Yeah. Put my cork hat on, I should be right.
Oh yeah, cool. Excellent. All right, well, thank you very much for coming on to the first episode of Yana.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
It's an honour.
Yeah. It's great to, thanks for taking the time to do it, and we will catch up again soon, no doubt.
Yeah, we shall.
Excellent.
We'll have that drink we've always been talking about.
Yes, we have been. I can't believe that was 2 Christmases ago.
It's
but you're right, I was like, oh my God, is that 2? Years are flying by. There you go.